The following program, offered by Fox 19, includes lawyers licensed in Kentucky. For those lawyers to maintain compliance with the Kentucky Bar Association requirements, the phrase, "This is an advertisement," must appear on the screen. Moore Law is underwritten in the public interest by the Moore Law Firm, a legal professional association. This is Moore Law on Fox 19.
Welcome to Moore Law. Each week we will be discussing a different legal topic and taking your legal questions live on the air. Today we are talking about on-the-job injuries. Sometimes people injured on the job don't understand all of their options until it's too late. Do you qualify for workers' comp? Can you choose your own doctor? How long do the benefits last? If you have been injured at work and don't know what to do, give us a call at 513-421-4691. But before we go to the phones, let's see what's on the docket for the next few weeks. On April 2nd, scams and ripoffs. April 9th, fighting the insurance company. And on April 16th, we'll be discussing bankruptcy. On the panel with me every Monday morning, Don Moore. Good morning.
Morning, Deb. Nice to see you. Good weekend, I hope.
Absolutely, yes. That weather, I can take a lot more of that.
This topic that we're talking about today, I just love. This is an opportunity for us to talk to people about injuries that they have when they're at work. And often that's complicated because it's not always just workers' compensation. We handle personal injury cases that involve people who also have workers' compensation claims at the same time. So sometimes it's complicated. And I'm glad today we have Barney Fox with us, who's been doing workers' compensation cases for over 30 years.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, thanks for being with us. What would your first piece of advice for somebody be? They're hurt on the job. What do they do?
Be sure to report it. That's the important thing. Most people will feel badly about their relation with their boss, their job, and they sometimes tend to not tell people what's going on with them. My back hurts a little bit, I pulled something, and they don't report it. It doesn't do a justice to them, and it certainly doesn't to the employer, because the employer needs to know these things.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Let us go to our first caller. I believe we have John in Fairfield. John, how can we help?
I just wanted to ask, I work for a local fire department, was hurt pretty significantly on the job, on a run, and I'm at a point where they have talked about retraining me because I did lose my job due to the injury. And my question is, they've just started talking about settlement instead of going through the process. Is that a good idea or bad idea, or is the settlement? I've heard that settlements usually aren't a lot of money.
Well, that's a complicated issue without knowing what type of injuries you have, the long-term effect, what your retrainability is. There are different things that could be going on here. They're probably talking about doing rehabilitation services and perhaps some retraining if, in fact, you can't get into your old job again, if you can't perform the functions of that job. So I think at this point, settlement probably is premature, but without knowing more about the case, I'd have to reserve judgment.
Barney, in a case like John's got, is he in any position to really evaluate that on his own, or is that something he would need help with?
He would definitely need help with that, because you're going to need help with dealing with the rehabilitation process, with the doctors, what the doctors need to do to get you better and get you back to a job and get back to a livelihood.
Yeah.
All right. Best of luck with that, John. And next we will go to Robert in Cincinnati. Robert?
Yes, how you doing?
We're good, thanks. How are you?
Okay. I was working for a man and had a truck accident. And for some reason or another, well, his insurance company said they wasn't going to pay. And so I'm stuck with a hospital bill.
Don, that's something we were talking about before the show, is what should you do if you're working and then someone else, if you're driving a truck and somebody runs into you?
This happens an awful lot. Robert, were you working at the time that you had the truck accident?
Yes, it was, but he doesn't carry workers' compensation.
Well, Barney, now that happens a lot, doesn't it?
It does happen, not as much as it used to. When you say he doesn't carry workers' compensation, the state of Ohio mandates that everyone have workers' compensation. If your employer doesn't have workers' compensation, you still have a claim with the state of Ohio. the state of Ohio will cover all valid injuries and make the payments for them. They then turn around and go after the employer for back premiums and any of the payments made.
And then in a case like Robert's, he also has the opportunity to present a claim against the individual that actually hit him if it's their fault. So that's something that if there's a police report, Robert, and they've determined that it was that person's fault, you have a claim against the individual who actually caused the accident in the first place, and you had a workers' compensation claim at the same time. A lot of people don't know that.
So many of the areas of law that we have been discussing are complex. This to me seems one of the most complex as far as you've got to get help right away, and I would not know where to turn.
Yeah. The big thing, as Barney pointed out, is to let the employer know, and if they don't have workers' comp, do they contact the Workers' Compensation Bureau directly?
Yes, they contact the Bureau of Workers' Compensation. One other thing, if the employer was driving the vehicle, he may lose his defense of a co-employee because he doesn't have coverage.
So how does a person go about contacting the Bureau directly if they work for someone who hasn't been carrying workers' comp?
Well, you can do it online or you can do it by phone. I believe the phone number, I'm not going to give you the phone number.
Just in case.
Give it to you wrong and you wouldn't want that.
Everybody, they can find it.
But you can get on the internet. I believe it's ohiobwc.com.
Great.
Or you could just Google BWC Ohio,
okay,
and you'll get it.
Thank you.
Super.
All right, and next up, I believe we have Jerry in Sharonville. Go ahead, Jerry.
How you doing?
We're doing good, thanks. How about you?
I'm hanging in there.
Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Basically at work, and I tore all my bicep muscles off of the bone, had to have surgery, extensive rehabilitation, which hasn't even started yet. But my question is, the doctor told me I may not regain full use of my arm.
Wow.
My question is, what do I do in that situation? I mean, at the type of work I do, I need to use both hands fully in order to do my job.
Barney, what would you suggest?
Well, there are certain things that happen here. First, if you cannot return to your former position of employment, you're entitled to get your wages paid up until that time that you can return to work, or you go into living maintenance or living maintenance wage loss. They can put you in a program, try to retrain you for a different job. There's a lot of different opportunities there if you cannot return to your former position of employment.
Does the employer have the responsibility to offer the retraining and to pay for the retraining?
The Bureau of Workers' Compensation offers that through various programs, and they try to get that into. They're very active in that regard now.
Okay. Don?
One thing that I think that it's really important to know is that if you've had an injury like that, you are never the same again. The attachment that the surgeons do, reattaching a muscle to the bone, is not as good as the way it was when you were born. You're just going to have problems, so it's not going to be normal. It may be functional, but it'll not be normal, and as you get older, it's probably going to have you, cause you more problems. That's real life. I always say there's no such thing as a free lunch. We're not like the cartoon characters where we get run over by the steamroller, blow on our thumb, and then we're good as new and we go, or like Wile E. Coyote
Right.
and the Roadrunner. That's not real life. If you have a muscle that's torn away from the bone, it'll never be the same again.
Okay, but we do hope that your recovery is a good one, Jerry. And if you have questions at home about workers' compensation, give us a call. We will be right back after the break.